Hello and welcome to Wildcard from MUNPR, coming to you not live from our studio in number 71C HSS Tower, straight to your ears. I'm your host, Caleb Lantz, and this is the fourth in our series of interviews with candidates for First Year Outreach Co-Ordinator. For a brief explanation of the job of FYOC and the structure of these interviews, check out our episode with Jonah Lehmann. MUNPR has reached out to every candidate for interview, and at the time of this recording, we have scheduled or recorded interviews with 5 of the remaining 8 candidates. My guest today is a new member of the club, but not an experienced one. She's only in her first semester at UTK, but has already staffed 2 conferences. Brenna Loudon is a first year from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, who served as a crisis staffer for the Hatfield-McCoy JCC at 10-MUN2, and will be staffing her 3rd conference at Vol-MUN 11 in February. Brennan has traveled to Arch-MUN 3 with the club, and on top of all of that, she shares a name with the greatest county and the greatest state in America. Brenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. Glad to have you. Okay. So, first question. What inspired you to run for FYOC?
Well, what inspired me initially was I walked into my room, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I get a text from Kelly Collins. It says, Brenna, you have to run for FYOC. I said, huh? That's random. And I just, I put my phone away. I moved on with my day. But then I was listening to Ollie McQueen, very lovely member of the club, very near and dear to my heart, talking about her kind of experiences with FYOC and talking about how it was kind of like, she wasn't really able to do much with her position. Much hadn't been done with the first years in the group chat and that kind of thing. And I was thinking, why is that? That's something that I would really love to go in and change, because as a first year, I think the first year experience is so important, because if you don't have a good experience your first year, you're not going to stay in the club, and that will lead club numbers to get lower and lower. And so I think that was something that inspired me, because I was like, wow, I want to change this and make this position, everything that it can be, and reach these goals for the club so that it can grow.
Yeah, for sure. So the First Year Outreach Coordinator is meant to be the primary representative of the first year members of the club on the executive board, as you know. So with such a large cadre of first-year members of the club, at least 14 by my count, how do you plan to make sure all their voices are heard?
Well, how I was planning on doing that was by first having first-year specific meetings, not very many, maybe 1 or 2 at the beginning and end of the semester, just so they can voice any concerns they have, any questions or ideas. That way I can then take all of those ideas, write them down, take them to the executive board so that they can hear from everyone, and then also regularly sending out anonymous feedback forms that the first years can fill out themselves, because they might not, be wanting their name associated with whatever question or comment that they have, just in case, they're nervous or something like that. Regularly sending those out in order to collect all that information about them. And then also, of course, I really love to talk to people in MUN, and so just going up before a meeting, sitting down with them saying, hey, how are you doing? Have you been enjoying this? Or why didn't you sign up for this? And stuff like that, just so I can also get personal feedback and opinions from them that they might not even realize is going towards that, information that the exec would also receive.
Yeah, for sure. More engagement is always a good thing. All right, moving on to our memories question. Left, middle, or right?
Let's go middle.
Middle, okay. What was a moment in your life when you could have chosen a different path?
I could have chosen a different path. Oh, maybe this is typical, but obviously applying for college is a really big thing, and it determines a lot of things about where you live, what you study, that kind of thing. And originally I wasn't at all intending to go to UTK. I wanted to go to a private school, something maybe more smaller scale. And I applied to a lot of schools like that, and UTK was one of the very few public schools that I actually applied to. And I originally wasn't going to go at all, and I was like, I'm not going to go to that orange school, no way. But I ended up deciding to go to UT after realizing that everything I want is actually here. Model UN is here, political science is here, and so I think that was definitely the biggest thing, because if I had gone to a different school, my life would look totally different now. I maybe even wouldn't be still doing MUN, which would be very sad, but yes.
Yeah, well, we're definitely glad you did decide to come here. Okay, what is the central message of your campaign?
The central message of my campaign is transforming FYOC from a nothing burger to a something burger, okay? And actually having a structure to the position, a schedule for the position of this month, this is the goal we're going to accomplish. We're going to do this event for the first year specifically. We're going to ask them this question, make sure they're okay with this. We're going to make sure that they have a practice where they can figure out this because they don't know how to do this yet. That kind of thing, because I feel like it's kind of, the position's a little vague so far, and as a first year, I definitely feel that. And so I think by really bringing more structure to the position, that we can really make the first years feel more involved and included and also prepared.
Yeah, that's definitely something the club struggled with for a while, is having sort of defined responsibilities for the FYOC.
Mm-hmm.
There was a push 2 years ago, I think, to get rid of FYOC and just distribute their positions to the membership chair and the communications director. Fortunately, that did not pass.
Very happy.
Yeah. Okay, so historically, UT-K-Mon always brings in a large crop of first-year members who slowly atrophy over the years. Off the top of my head, of the 20 or so first years that I came in with, only 5 of us were still active members of the club at the end of our undergrad. The classes of 2026, 27, and 28 have seen similar rates of loss. How would you address this problem and ensure that the class of 2029 stays involved with the club?
I think that is a really huge concern, and I noticed that even just in the couple months that I have been in the club. Like, there were so many more first years at the beginning, and now it's kind of gone down to just kind of a solid couple group, still a big group, but it was bigger at the beginning. I think a big contributor to that is, firstly, when you're a first year, I think feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what is going on in the club, especially if you have never done Model UN before. I don't think we have many people who come in the club who are totally inexperienced, and I think that's something that we could change by creating more avenues for first years to kind of get a grasp on what Model UN is, learning the rhetoric, even things like that they don't know yet. And then I think something I want to do is create specific events and activities that are for the first years. Obviously working with the membership chair, who conveniently this year is also a first year, to do that, because I think that if the first years bond on a more personal and close level, there's less likely down the road for there to be, drama that could divide the club, or issues between people that are just unable to resolve because they've never communicated personally before. And so I think by creating specific events or activities, or even just being like, hey, let's all go grab dinner this day, or let's all go study this day, things like that will really help people want to stay in the club, because they will feel like they have a place where they belong that's, not necessarily something that feels too overwhelming or foreign to them.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. Okay, moving on to our insights question. Left, middle, or right?
Let's go right.
Right. When do you feel most like an outsider?
Oh, okay, this is hard because there are so many places, because I'm a very introverted person. I have a very hard time talking to people that I don't know, or I don't know that I have things in common with. I'd say when I've felt most like an outsider, probably when I used to go to church. Specifically my senior year of not my senior year, I didn't get my junior year in high school, when I was still being forced to be involved in my youth group, because obviously I think politics are a very important thing when it comes to who you're close with and who you're friends with and who you're comfortable hanging out with. Obviously it's not the biggest thing, but it's important to hold the same values with the people you're friends with. And I feel like that was when I felt the most like an outsider, because I was I have nothing in common with these people if I don't have religion in common with them. And so that is very isolating, I would say.
Yeah, no, I definitely know the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, our elections are conducted in a ranked choice voting system. So, of your opponents, which just as a reminder are Wyatt Finn, Elizabeth and William Kitts, Jonah Lehmann, you're Brenna Loudon, Ava Oldham, Mason Rucker, and Brooke Wilson. Who will you be ranking second and third on your ballot?
Oh, this feels like a bad thing to say. Because I remember before I came to this interview, I was thinking, what should I not do? And I was like, I should probably not say any opinions about my opponents. But since that's a question, I guess I should answer it. For my second choice, I would probably say would be Jonah, because he is someone who is also very involved in the club. Like, every time I go to practice, Jonah's there. Every time I go to a meeting, Jonah's there. When I'm at a conference, Jonah's there. So I think that's something that's super important for the first year officer chair, because if they're not active in the club, if they're not even a face that first year is really recognized that well, then like, what's the point of that being FYOC? And for third, I would probably rank, I would probably have to say Wyatt for the same reason, because Wyatt is another member of the club who is very involved in scrimmages, conferences, and that kind of thing. And both Wyatt and Jonah are friendly people who get along with a lot of people in the club, and so that's probably who I would put as second and third.
Yeah, for sure. So the position of FYOC has traditionally been seen as the first rung on the ladder of elected office in the club. Of the 6 FYOCs I can name, 4 of them went on to serve on exec in another position the following year. After your term concludes in November 2026, do you plan to pursue further office in the club, whether elected or appointed?
I do. I really do. I'm already on secretariat for 10 months, and I'm really, really excited for that. And always with Model UN, my goal has been to climb, whether that be in college or in high school. And I love, not that I love to have power, but like, I love to be able to be a visionary that actually has like a say in what can happen. Like, there's actually a possibility of my vision coming to light. Like, I love that opportunity, and so I definitely am interested in continuing to run in elections, regardless, even if I get this one or not.
Yeah, for sure. I think ambition is almost always a good thing and a potential office seeker. Okay, moving on to our last question here. Beliefs, left, middle, or right?
Let's go left.
Left. Do you think people can really change?
Okay, can I do the flip for this one?
Oh, you can flip? You want to flip this one? Okay.
I'd like to use that power.
Do I think people can really change? I'm going to say yes, with an asterisk of very rarely without it being against their own will. I think most people, especially the bigger, like the more central whatever about them is changing is to who they are. The vast majority of people, and let me be clear, I'm including myself in this, do not change unless that change is forced upon them either by circumstance or by people around them or whatever. Whether for better or worse, I think, in that case. Okay, your turn.
I'm going to say that I think that people change too much.
Ooh.
I think so many people let their environment and the people around them be what determines who they are. And so when they go from one place to another, from one conversation to another, they can have the tendency to alter responses, alter opinions and beliefs in order to be socially accepted, because at the end of the day, that's what most people truly desire, is to be socially accepted by the people in their lives. And so I think there are too many people in the world who change too often rather than staying true to their actual personality and their actual, like, who they are. That's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of fake people out there. All right. Well, congratulations, Brenna. You've won Wild Card. For your prize, we're going to end the episode the same way we do every time, with a trip in our memory time machine. Now, the memory time machine is very simple. All you have to do is close your eyes. Now, think of a moment in your life. It's not a moment you want to forget or change anything about, just somewhere you'd like to linger a little longer. What moment do you choose?
Okay. There's so many, because I love thinking about my life over and over and over again and reliving memories. But I think the idea of not being able to change anything is what would narrow it down. I would say if I could go back to any moment, I would go back to my senior year Friendsgiving, where my best friend, who's now my roommate, she made this amazing mac and cheese. If you have TikTok, you've probably heard of it. Teeny's mac and cheese.
I have not heard of this.
Oh.
I'm not plugged into mac and cheese talk, unfortunately.
Oh, look it up later and you'll see why I would want to relive this moment.
Sure.
And if you're listening, also get on your phone right now and search Teeny's mac and cheese so you can visually.
Is that for our audio listeners? How do you spell that?
TINI''S mac and cheese.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Obviously, I want to relive this moment because I would love to retaste this mac and cheese for the first time because it was very life-changing. But also, it was the first Friendsgiving I had ever been invited to or involved in having. And obviously, senior year is very, emotional and beautiful time in your life. So all of these things combined together, being with your friends, good food, really made this moment very memorable for me, and I would love to relive it.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely understand that. Alrighty, well, before we go, you've got the next 45 seconds to speak directly to the viewers and say whatever you want. The floor is yours.
I've been waiting to do this. Viewers, if you are listening, I don't know if you can watch this.
No.
Okay, if you're listening to this right now, drop a burrito emoji in the group me, because I am so curious if people actually listen to these interviews, and I want to know. And then when I get the responses, I will know that those are the people in the club who are actually very interested in the first years in the club. They want to see us succeed, and then I will be filled with joy and hope for the future of the first years in the club, because I'll be like, wow, look at all these people who are interested and tuning into this election, because it does actually matter, and this position is incredibly important. That's what I would like to say.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, unfortunately, I think a good deal of the people who listen to these interviews are not qualified voters for the FYOC election.
It would still be encouraging to know.
Of course, yes. Well, that does it for this episode of Wildcard from MUNPR. Thank you so much to Brenna for coming on to do this interview with us. As a reminder, the FYOC election is this Thursday, November 20th at 7:15 p.m. sharp in Student Union Room 169. Western business attire is required for all candidates, and candidates and voters must have cleared any money owed to the club in order to qualify. Stay tuned to our channel over the next few days for the rest of our FYOC interview series and the last few exec interviews, and I will see you Thursday.
Yay.